I still remember the smell of the turkey I never got to serve. That Thanksgiving morning, I woke up before the sun, the way I always did on holidays. I wanted everything perfect, the table set, the candles lit, the good china out of the cabinet we only opened twice a year. My husband, Daniel, was still asleep beside me, and for one quiet moment, I let myself believe we were exactly the family I'd always dreamed of. We'd been married 6 years. 6 years of birthdays, small fights, bigger apologies, and a home we built together, brick by brick, promise by promise. And every Thanksgiving, without fail, Daniel's stepfather, Walter, came to stay with us. Walter wasn't blood, but he raised Daniel since he was 8 years old. After Daniel's real father walked out and never looked back, Walter was the one who taught him to ride a bike, who sat in the bleachers at every baseball game, who walked him down the aisle when his mother couldn't bring herself to. So when Walter got sick, really sick, the kind of sick doctors whisper about in hallways, Daniel promised him one thing. "You'll spend your last Thanksgiving with us." "I'll be there. I swear it." That morning, I kissed Daniel's forehead before I went downstairs to start cooking. He mumbled something about running to the store for cranberry sauce. I didn't think twice. That was Daniel thoughtful, present, dependable. By noon, Walter arrived in a wheelchair, thinner than I'd ever seen him, but smiling. He hugged me like I was his own daughter. "Where's my boy?" he asked, eyes searching the room. "He'll be here," I said. He just stepped out. By 2, I'd called Daniel 4 times, straight to voicemail. By 4, the turkey was done, the table was set for 3, and Walter's smile had started to fade into something quieter, something that looked a lot like disappointment he was trying to hide for my sake. By 6, I sat across from a dying man who deserved better, staring at an empty chair, wondering where my husband had gone. I didn't know it then, but that empty chair was about to change everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I fed Walter dinner myself that night. I cut his turkey into small pieces because his hands shook too much to hold a knife. I laughed at his old stories about Daniel as a boy, even though my chest felt like it was caving in. I kept my voice steady. I kept the tears behind my eyes. Walter didn't need to see me fall apart. Not that night. Not when he had so few nights left. Daniel didn't come home until almost 11. I heard the door, heard his footsteps, and I met him in the hallway with a calm I didn't feel. "Where were you?" He wouldn't look at me. "Work stuff. It's complicated. Your stepfather flew across the country to see you. He's dying, Daniel, and you left me to explain why his own son couldn't show up." He rubbed his face like I was the one being unreasonable. I had things to handle. You wouldn't understand. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But something in his voice cracked in a way I'd never heard before. Not sadness. Not guilt. Fear. It took me 3 more weeks to find out why. I found the messages by accident on a shared cloud account we'd set up years ago for family photos. A name I didn't recognize. Words I wished I'd never read. Daniel hadn't been handling work stuff. He'd been with someone else, a woman named Renee, someone he'd met months earlier, someone he'd apparently been building a second life with while I was building our first one. The messages went back further than Thanksgiving. Much further. There were plans. Hotel confirmations. A message from just that week. "I can't keep pretending everything is normal with her. I'll tell her soon. I promise." He'd chosen her over his dying stepfather. Over me. Over 6 years of a life I thought was real. I didn't scream. I didn't break the dishes or throw his clothes on the lawn like the version of me in old movies might have. Instead, I closed the laptop, sat very still, and let the truth settle into my bones like cold water. Something shifted in me that night, quiet but permanent. The woman who used to make excuses for him was gone. In her place was someone clearer. Someone who understood that grief for a marriage and grief for a person can arrive together, and that both deserved to be honored, not hidden. I thought about Walter, sitting alone at that table, still hoping his boy might walk through the door. And I thought, he deserves the truth too. We all do. But what I didn't know that day was how the truth, once it starts moving, doesn't stop until it reaches everyone it's owed to. I didn't confront Daniel with anger. I confronted him with evidence. I printed every message. I gathered every date, every hotel receipt his careless second life had left behind. And I waited for the moment that would matter most, not for me, but for Walter. Walter had asked, gently, more than once, why Daniel seemed so distant lately. He deserved to know the truth from someone who loved him enough not to protect a lie. So, one afternoon, sitting beside his hospital bed, I told him everything. Not to hurt him. To free him from wondering if he'd done something wrong. Walter's hand found mine, thin and trembling. "You were more of a daughter to me than he's been a son," he said. And in that moment, something in me healed just a little. Walter changed his will 3 days later. Not out of spite, he told me, but out of love, real love, the kind that shows up. He left the family cabin, the one Daniel had always assumed would be his, to me instead. "You were the one who was there," Walter said simply. When Daniel found out both about the will and about what I now knew, he tried everything. Apologies, tears, promises that Renee meant nothing. But I had already stopped needing his explanations. I filed for divorce 2 weeks later, taking with me not just my belongings, but my dignity, fully intact. Walter passed away that spring. I sat beside him at the end, holding the hand that had held mine through the darkest season of my life. Daniel wasn't there. He'd lost that privilege the day he chose to disappear. People ask me sometimes if I regret how things unfolded the divorce, the very public fallout of Daniel's affair once mutual friends learned the truth, the family who chose sides. I tell them no. Because that Thanksgiving taught me something I carry with me still. The people who truly love you show up, especially when it's hard, especially when no one is watching. I didn't get revenge by destroying Daniel. I got it by refusing to disappear the way he did. I stayed. I showed up. I became the person Walter always believed I was, and in the end, that was the only justice I ever needed.